Oh yeah, tires are cold. All right, we're just gonna jump into it, you guys. The rear end wanted to kick sideways already. Just coming out of the parking lot. That's a good sign. So, whoa, she is feisty. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is a Toyota Supra. I've driven this Supra before. This used to belong to our friend Nadeem. And at the time that I drove it, it was basically completely stock. It had a tune and an exhaust, if I remember correctly. That was the first Mark V Supra I ever drove. Great benchmark, and a great place for Ryan, the owner of this car, to come in, pick it up, and turn it into a full-on time attack car. A style of driving that of course, I've never dipped my toes into. I would love to at some point. But of course, has the inherent kind of underpinnings of just you versus you. Hey, better your own times, you're your only competition on the track, and kind of acknowledging each other's achievements, and that's how you all get better, right? Lots of noise from these paddle shifters. Aftermarket magnetic paddle shifters here, full carbon. They look great, they sound great, they're a little bit loud, but of course, when you're on track, you need all of the audible feedback, all of the sensory feedback possible. You need the car talking to you so you can make split-second decisions, and I guess the clicking could help with that. Kind of annoying here on the street. Yeah, it's got AP Racing brakes on there, big brakes. It's got 295s all the way around, square stance, and that is the limit for the street class for global time attack, so that's exactly what he's running. And a big turbo. So let's go talk to Ryan. Let's see what his story is on this car, what he's done to it.
Hi, my name's Ryan, and this is my 2020 A90 Supra time attack car. Initially, we did autocross in an RX-8, and we had it built, and the building process took way too long, so we decided to buy a Supra because we knew it was a good platform, and ran it on track a few times, and decided to go further with it for time attack. I'm a competitive person, and I really enjoy the time attack format, and I love getting new PBs, so it is great. When we bought the car, it was used, and it already had a downpipe and tune on it. And we had an accident which had the car off the road for a few months. So we decided to build it to be more competitive for global time attack. A lot of it was my son and my mechanic just mentioning what we could do. We did know that we wanted to stay for power-wise for torque at around 550. That's almost the limit for these transmissions, and we didn't want to upgrade the transmission as well. So we ended up going with the Alpha 6 kit, and on E85 we're making 640 horse and 560 torque.
How much boost is it running?
22 pounds boost right now. It's the charge pipe, and then also the down pipe. It's catless, it's a bigger turbo set in here, and their own exhaust manifold. And to support that, we also had to go up to use a Visconti reflex controller, do port injection, and we're running 6 1050 injectors as well as the direct injection. Yeah, we've upgraded the heat exchanger with CSF and also the aux coolers, which you'll find down here. We have the AMS intake too. That's to help a little bit with the cooling, as well as the snorkel, and that's a Varus Engineering product.
So much tire spin. So much tire spin. I could feel the exhaust shake in between. That's the first time I've shifted a ZF or a dual clutch where the blip in between shifts has actually felt through my butt. God, the steering is so much more direct than I remember the Supra being. I have not driven a Mark V in some time, but they are twitchy. You know, I got out of the Z not too long ago, And it's kind of loose out of the box. It's kind of progressive in the way oversteer's dialed in, how you can play with the rear end. The Supra is so twitchy in comparison to that. The pouring on of torque is so relentless. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, those are brakes. This one's tuned a little bit to the side of low-end torque, which is why I think, especially with cold tires, I was getting so squirrely, so quickly, and effortlessly. I mean, the car's fast. The car's very fast. Of course, he's got the Alpha 6 kit on here. It's a GTX 3076 ball bearing turbo. What I'm surprised about is how smoothly and relaxed the turbo rolls on when you're at those higher RPMs. It is a little bit unpredictable at lower RPMs. It spools on hard, very, very hard, which does not help in a rear-wheel drive car, specifically more so on the street here. You got to take that a lot more into consideration. At the track, you're high RPMs most of the time. Yeah, it's not to say the top end power is still not there. Like, roll on at 3,000 RPM, just gobs of power. So twitchy. Little bit could be done in how the throttle mapping's set up and the turbo, because like a tightly wound throttle response combined with a torque that just is so happy to spool by 3,000, or that's at least what it feels like. The torque hits and you're like, when do I shift? How much counter steer? Where will I be in 2 seconds? It's a very twitchy car, and I think that dialing back the throttle response would help quite a bit in just making the turbo feel more at home. And that's something that Ryan's been working on. That's something he was vocal about when we were chatting earlier. What's your benchmark? What cars on the track are you trying to chase down and take down?
It's basically other Supras, but when we decided to do the build, we were hoping that we'd keep up with the GT3s. So, which I'm thinking we're pretty close to it. The Ridge is my favorite track. It's just fast, it's flowy, it's just well taken care of. It's just a super nice track. After that, I'm gonna say probably VIMC on Vancouver Island. It's just a shorter, I think there's 19 turns in it. So it's just a great fast track. The car's tuned with BM3 from Kerry Jordan in California, who's done an excellent job so far.
What's been done to the transmission?
We have a tune from Doteki, Rich there, with XHP. So I don't know what he's done, he's just adjusted stuff. So, yeah.
Some magic's gone on and you're happy with the results.
Exactly, exactly. So in street class, you're only allowed a certain size wing, a certain size splitter. You're also allowed a diffuser in the rear, which we don't have. And you're also allowed canards in the front, which we don't have. Your car needs to look street. You cannot touch anything in the interior wise. Everything has to be in place, but you can remove some of it in the rear. I think we just have to get it more reliable. We're still going through growing pains with this. We still have a few problems. We still have to get the suspension. We just moved over to MCS and get that dialed in. So I'm really looking forward to next year. And seeing what we can do.
Awesome. What's been the most recent problem you've had?
Vanos. We're still having Vanos. We thought it might have been the oil pump, changed out the oil pump, and our Vanos is still 15 to 30 degrees out. So now we're gonna replace the Vanos bolts and see where that takes us.
A few things need to be worked out Ryan's been telling me with the fueling, and this has been the case, you guys, with a lot of these direct injection cars. I'm no expert, of course, but with the RS3, Iros down in Vegas is taking out direct injection altogether because of the issues they've had on those higher horsepower cars. Here, it sounds like it's a similar situation, not so. They've just been having more of an issue with fueling and getting the correct, I guess, tuning, using both port and direct and finicking with that. So it's kind of a catch-22 with modern cars like this. It improves efficiency, it improves all that stuff, but that was a bump stop. Takes bumps well, though. Nice pop there. The rear end is so fun to play with. Very tough to get these brakes or tires warm enough here on the street, but more than anything, the turbo and the tune, the throttle, have all just kind of made it a little bit of a handful for the street, if I'm honest. It feels like it wants to just jump out of its skin. All right, Ryan did want me to try it in automatic as well, see how the trans tune feels. Yeah, it'll hold gears. A lot of modern cars do this, of course, from the factory, hold gears, downshift, upshift, and are pretty good at it. But of course, there's usually room for a little bit of improvement. God, this engine just sounds so good. It kind of feels like it should still be on the street. But then when you begin pushing it, it's like, no, it literally doesn't want to be on the street. This is a car, one of the first that I've driven, that hates being driven where most people drive their cars. It does not want to be a part of the crowd. It wants to get out. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you missed previous couple videos that we shot, I recently drove a McLaren GT and also the Iros Motorsport RS3 750HS and then the new RS3 as well. So those links are in the description. Hit me up on Instagram if you'd like. We'll see you guys next time.